He embodied the chilliest German officers in cinema without ever becoming a star. And yet, his face still haunts every war film. How did Wolfgang Preiss become the invisible shadow that shapes our memory of the Second World War on screen? Nuremberg, winter 1910. The city smokes, gasps, forges under the low Bavarian sky. The chimneys spit out soot that falls back onto the glistening cobblestones. In this setting of dark bricks and narrow streets, a child opens his eyes on the German Empire of Wilhelm II. His name is Wolfgang. Wolfgang Preiss. It is February 27, a date like a stone thrown into the river of the century. Around him, the world is already rumbling. His father, Albert, carries the voice of the theater. A stage actor, his face eaten up by the shadows of the wings, he lives from words projected into the darkness of auditoriums, from roles swallowed, spat out, replayed every evening like a battle. At his side, a woman who also comes from the shores of art, Wolfgang's mother. She knows the dressing rooms, the costumes that smell of dust and sweat, the waiting before the curtain rises. The child is born into this world made of texts, broad gestures, lights that burn the eyes, and the tense silences before the applause. Nuremberg itself is another stage. It is an industrial city, a commercial hub, an ancient town caught in modern machinery. Under the shop signs, beneath the pointed roofs, one can feel the weight of the empire. The Black Eagle crowns the official buildings. Rumors from Berlin reach this far like a distant rumble. The empire seems solid, unshakable. But already in the bowels of the workshops, behind the large factory windows, something vibrates, threatens, cracks. The child grows up. The early years smell of coal, rain, and the polished wood of school benches. In the evening, he hears his father's voice rehearsing lines in front of a cracked mirror. The intonations shift, the faces transform. The idea that a human being can become something other than himself for the duration of a play takes root quietly in Wolfgang's mind. In the house, they talk about posters, reviews, provincial tours. Theatre is not some distant pastime. It is the table, the bread, the anxiety of tomorrow. Then comes the war, 1914. The clatter of boots echoes in the streets. The newspapers shout mobilization. Trains fill up with men in uniform. The child silently watches the columns go by. He does not understand everything, but he feels the fever, the pride, the promise of a quick victory. Patriotic posters cover the city walls. The window panes rattle a little more with every distant cannon blast. The years drag on. The war bogs down. The news from the front grows heavier. In kitchens, food is scarce. Ration cards are counted. Bread is measured. Light is saved. The child passes through this era as one passes through an endless winter. Then, suddenly, 1918. Defeat. The flags change. The empire falls. The Weimar Republic rises from the ruins. The soldiers return, exhausted, broken. Nuremberg mourns without ceremony. Resentment settles into cafes, workshops, minds. Wolfgang becomes a teenager amid the inner crash of a humiliated country. 1919 brings the Treaty of Versailles. The newspapers speak of reparations, lost territories, imposed guilt. The adults mutter, tense up, flare up. The economy staggers. the currency decays. In 1923, inflation devours wages. Banknotes are counted in useless bundles. One pays for a loaf of bread with a basket full of paper. The numbers on the price tags swell like monsters. The teenager watches these hands tightening, these mouths swearing, these eyes hardening. Yet, life goes on. Schools remain open. Wolfgang continues his education in Nuremberg's institutions. They still teach the classics, dates, equations. But behind the blackboards, the world is changing its face. The boy listens, observes, takes it all in. In the streets, some shout for vengeance, others preach revolution. Political rallies multiply. Different uniforms appear. Symbols clash. Around 1924, Germany stabilizes for a moment. The currency is brought under control. The country catches its breath. In theaters, curtains rise again on modern, expressionist, daring plays. In Germany, theater is not just a form of entertainment. It is a tight network of municipal and regional stages, an army of troops crisscrossing the country, a tradition rooted in every major city. For the son of an actor, it is a natural, almost inevitable world. At the end of his adolescence, Wolfgang chooses. He turns toward the stage, not as a game, but as a path traced by blood and by time. Destiny calls him to where words take on flesh. He knows precariousness, uncertain tours, meager pay. He has seen his father come home late, undone, after a lukewarm performance. He has seen pride too, that blaze in the eyes when the audience rises. And yet, he decides, theater will be his life. The 1920s rush toward their end. While the country struggles painfully to recover, a new threat is gathering on the horizon. The NSDAP, still a small marginal party, begins to gain ground. In Munich, in Nuremberg, throughout the south of Germany, its feverish speeches inflame the crowds. Wolfgang studies his art, while politics lays its traps. He is trained in schools, in German drama conservatories, where one learns to project the voice, control the body, master the space. The names of these institutions are lost to time, but their imprint is stamped on him. He works, rehearses, starts over. He is hired by provincial troops at the turn of the 1930s. The stage becomes his testing ground. In regional theaters, far from the great capitals, he performs before mixed audiences, workers, bourgeois, soldiers on leave. The halls smell of smoke, damp wool, sometimes beer. The boards creak under his steps. He learns to face evenings without energy, laughs that fall flat, sparse applause. He also learns the magic of moments when everything catches fire, a suspended silence, a house held on the edge of a breath. But outside, another drama is taking shape. 1933, Adolf Hitler takes power. January 30, the date is written in black on the timeline. In a few months, the Weimar Republic disintegrates. The Nazi dictatorship takes hold. The word Gleichschaltung appears. Everything must be aligned, controlled, adjusted to the will of the new regime. Cultural institutions are no exception. Theater, cinema, music, everything slips under the heavy hand of power. Joseph Goebbels takes the helm of the Ministry of Propaganda. Under his direction, the Reichsministerium für Volksaufklärung und Propaganda extends its tentacles over every stage, every studio, every darkened theater. Artists are no longer just creators. They become potential instruments, vectors of images, stories, myths in the service of the Reich. To supervise these forces, a bureaucratic machine is put in place. The Reichskulturkammer, Reich Chamber of Culture. Within it, the Reichsfilmkammer, Reich Film Chamber. To work, actors must belong to these structures. Without membership, no role, no stage, no camera. Control is everywhere. Repertoires are censored, plays evaluated, scripts purged. Wolfgang, a young actor, now stands in a minefield. Acting becomes an act under surveillance. To exist on stage is to accept being seen, recorded, catalogued by the regime. The years advance, relentless. Soon, war returns, vaster and more devastating still. But even before the crash of arms, cinema becomes a soft weapon, wrapped in melodies, romances, manufactured dramas. It is in this world of images framed by power that Wolfgang takes his first steps in front of the camera. 1942. A white light floods a set. Technicians move heavy spotlights. Cables snake across the floor. The letters UFA dominate the studio entrance like a talisman and a threat. The company is at the heart of the propaganda machine. It produces films to entertain, to galvanize, to dress the war in an appearance of normality. Among these productions, one title stands out: Die große Liebe, The Great Love. Directed by Rolf Hansen, led by star Zara Leander, it is a melodrama designed to touch the heart of a people exhausted by bombings and bad news from the front. A film of sentimental propaganda. Beneath the varnish of romance, the regime's message. Wolfgang Preiss appears in it. A secondary, discreet role. But this appearance marks his recorded entry into film history. On screen, he is not yet the grave general, the impassive strategist. He is one face among others, one voice among the chorus. Yet, something is taking shape. Cinema captures him, fixes him, inscribes him in the shifting memory of time. Between 1942 and 1945, he takes part in other productions. Films shot in a Germany at war. Roles sometimes tiny, sometimes uncredited. His shadow can be glimpsed in brief scenes. His presence guessed behind the official fabric. Popular sources lack precision. Titles are lost. But the movement is clear. He takes root in the film industry of the Reich, without being a central figure, without becoming the voice of a regime. What else does he do during those years? The archives are silent about any possible military involvement. No clear trace, no proof of membership in the NSDAP, no certified affiliation with a Nazi paramilitary organization. The silence of the documents forbids any assertion. What is known is this: a theater actor, already experienced, passes through the turmoil, appears in a few films, tries to maintain a career in a country swallowed up by total war. Around him, the machine is coming apart. The studios keep shooting while the cities blaze under Allied bombs. The theater still open, temporary refuges from the wail of the sirens. But the vice tightens. Towards the end, there is nothing left but ruins. Roads clogged with refugees, vacant stairs. May 8, 1945. Germany surrenders. The silence that follows is not a peaceful one.
It is a silence of stupefaction, of shame, of stupefaction again. The country is carved up into occupation zones. The Allied armies settle in. The symbols of the Reich are torn down, hammered out, erased. But the scars remain in the stones, in people's minds, in their life stories. Ufa, that great image factory, is dismantled like a weapon. The Allies take control of film production. No more propaganda, no more narratives dictated by a single center of power. But not yet total freedom. Everything is examined, weighed, judged. The denazification procedures begin. Artists, technicians, actors must justify themselves, prove, explain. Each presents his past, his choices, his compromises or refusals. Some fall, others disappear. Still others manage to carve out a path in this fragile new order. Amid this reshaping, Wolfgang Preiss stands at a threshold. He is not a fallen star of Nazi cinema, nor is he a celebrated resistance figure. He is an actor from the theater, with a few appearances in films, present in a fractured professional milieu, searching for a new form, a new language. The sources do not detail his individual denazification steps. They do not say how, day after day, he passes through administrative barriers, suspicious looks, hearings before the occupation authorities. But he is there, alive, on his feet, available. A man shaped by pre-war theater, by provincial stages, by the closely monitored studios of the Reich. A man now looking at a devastated landscape where everything must be rebuilt. On these ruins, 20th century Germany is being redrawn. On these ruins, Wolfgang Preiss's career will reinvent itself.